Today, you're going to hear everything on CPF, and I'm quite sure there are some points that you may not have heard of before. I'll be sharing with you a very interesting flowchart that I've created to really simplify the decision making whether you should top up the CPF or not. And if you stayed right to the very end, I'll be sharing with you and explaining my own thought process and my own strategies for 2023. So without further ado, let's dive on to it. And this is actually a quick snapshot of what is inside a typical CPF account. And what do you see? There are some learning points. Interest is paid out on 31st December, correct? So if you check your own CPF statement, you'll see some interest being credited in. And if your CPF amounts are big, like some retirees, that amount could easily be 5 or even 6 digits. But the other thing that you may not know is CPF interest is actually calculated on a monthly basis and using the lowest amount of that very month. So it really doesn't matter whether you top up in the middle of the month or at the start of the month. They use the lowest amount, and every month they'll just accumulate that figure and give you the final amount of interest you earn on 31st of December. But more than that, I'd like to scrutinize on the special account interest. This special account interest collected is $7,703.69, correct? And as we know, SA interest is accumulated in SA, OA interest is accumulated in OA, but later I'll touch on medisave. What can we see from the SA interest? It's $7,700, but if you times 4%, you realize that that is actually more than $192,000, correct? How come there's so much of special account interest? Quite simply, there's actually extra interest being earned in your OA and SA. So this really explains because you earn 1% extra in your OA for the first $20,000, and your SA actually attracts 1% more on the remaining $40,000. So this actually shows you that impact of the extra interest. That's why it's more than $7,700. So what can we next learn is that if you were to understand that OA and SA's interest is accumulated within an account, but MA's is a bit different, you will see this effect coming in on 1st of January. Take a look at your own statement, you'll see that coming through. Why is MA's interest being kicked to SA and then to OA in such a ratio for this example? Now this is very interesting because for medisave account, only it has this basic healthcare sum, BHS cap, which means OA and SA you can have more than that. There's no cap to it, but medisave it's capped. Last year is $66,000. This year 2023 is $68,500. So when that amount is more than a cap, it flows firstly to OA, that's why it's $25.80 to fill it up to $192,000, correct? And then whatever remains flows towards OA. So SA first, then OA. That's the extra amounts in medisave account when it hits that basic healthcare sum. That is also why there's nobody with $100,000 in medisave account. Simple logic. Now with that clarified, let me show you what you should consider when it comes to top up. And I have this very interesting flowchart for you. You can take a screenshot for this, you can share with your friends, especially if you are deliberating whether to top up to CPF for tax relief purpose or just to accumulate some interest. Now, whatever you contribute to CPF is going to become illiquid unless you are 55 years old or nearing it already. So if you are someone who is 20s, 30s or even 40s, you do still have some years before you can access that. That is why the very first thing that you should understand is you should only contribute spare cash into the CPF, not emergency cash. Take note again, spare cash, not emergency cash. I have this chart to show you how much you should keep in terms of emergency cash, but that's a separate topic for a separate time. Long story short, if you are self-employed and if you have dependents, you should probably keep more. If you're single and in a very stable job, maybe you do not need to keep that much of emergency cash. But beyond that, there are typical considerations that impacts you and impacts everybody. The first is, are you considering buying a new home or upgrading a home? If you need that, do note also whatever contributed to special account and medisave account doesn't help the equation at all. So if you have immediate home needs, then don't contribute because that could tap onto your cash and prevents you from being comfortable in your next home purchase. Then the second consideration typically is, are you all in on FIRE or not? Now, FIRE is financial independence, retire early. Some people define it at 40, some people define it at 50, some people define it at 55. But whichever case is, if you are looking at really early retirements, you should also understand that your CPF monies cannot be taken out to help the equation. Even if you have full retirement sum, you can only take out the extra CPF only at the age of 55. So again, whatever top-ups to medisave and special account is not going to help you in your FIRE journey. But as always, I put the word all in for FIRE. That is to suggest to you that I do not believe that you should go all in this direction because we never know. Sometimes life has some changes for us, and if we are too fixated on early retirement, then we jeopardize building up assets that could really help us in our long-term retirement future. So again, don't take the extreme view, Plan for early retirement, but always keep some in CPF as a backup. Next is, do you have cash to dollar cost average in the markets? As we all know, US markets have been coming down. In fact, anything regarding the tech sector has been bearish for quite a while. In general, equities and bonds have seen negative sentiment for 2022, and I've been a strong advocate for 2023 to start investing aggressively, because people always think, if there's a bear market, I'll start buying, but right now there is a bear market or bearish sentiment already. So prioritize some cash to invest, because that can deliver you big returns when we go past a bear and recession phase. Now with that clear our way, hopefully you have some spare cash to consider topping up into your CPF. And the first thing that you need to note is, when you top up for CPF, there is tax relief if you are going with cash top-ups to medisave or special account. However, if you are a working mom, for example, with a lot of tax relief already, then there's really no reason to top up to special account or medisave account at all. You can simply buy fixed deposits to get 4% these days. And until that changes, then maybe it's time to relook at CPF, because again, it's illiquid. So if you have hit the relief cap, don't top up to CPF. On the other hand, if you have chargeable income of less than $80,000, I'm putting this as a ballpark figure to draw discussions. If your chargeable income is less than $80,000, which is 7% and less, maybe there's no real advantage in topping up your CPF. That's in view of all the high interest instruments right now in the market, and it's definitely different from year 2020. Back then, there are so few high interest accounts. Right now, OCBC 360, UOB One account is paying so much more interest. So back then, topping up to CPF and getting 4% on SA looks very attractive. But so right now, I do think that if your chargeable income is less than $80,000 annually, maybe there's no need to do cash top-ups to CPF. Now with that out of the way, if your chargeable income is more than $80,000, or to put it into simpler terms, annual income of at least $100,000, you realize that some of your income is being charged for tax at 11.5% and more. Then this is a segment that you need to take note of. Let's recap again. The cap for maximum tax relief annually is $8,000 to your special account and your medisave account. I have this flowchart to explain what to prioritize or where are limitations you could face. Firstly, especially if you're age of 40 plus, you've been working all your career, you may see already that your MA has hit the $66,000 limit last year, and special account has crossed the $192,000 last year already. As mentioned just now, all interest in special account flows to special account, which means once you pass that full retirement sum, all interest in future years would forever put you above that full retirement sum. You cannot top up to special account anymore. It's a door closed shut. Do know also, even if you invest from a CPF special account, that amount is already considered within the full retirement sum calculation. So the only gap or only loophole that you can squeeze more monies with cash top up to CPF is your medisave account, because this basic healthcare sum BHS increases every year. Last year it's $66,000, 2023 it's $68,500, which is extra $2,500 more. So if you're viewing this video and you are in this category, hurry up, top up to your medisave account with your spare cash with $2,500 before your employer starts to contribute for you and the amount you can top up starts to shrink. Now let's move on to the right hand segment. And that is, if you have chargeable income more than $80,000, but your medisave account is not yet at the basic healthcare sum limit BHS of $66,000, or your special account is not yet at the full retirement sum at $192,000 last year, then quite simply you can tap on up to $8,000 for tax relief. And speaking to here, you can actually top up any amount to special account and medisave account. There's no cap to it. The cap is only on the tax relief. But later I'll explain to you why it doesn't really make sense to jam too much money in. With that situation, I'll actually probably advocate to top up to your medisave account first, because medisave account is very versatile. You can use it to pay your medical bills, your insurance premium, or your parents or children's medical bills and insurance premium. There are always medical needs that require your medisave. On the other hand, special account is really locked up until the age of 55. That is why I'll much rather you top up medisave account first, cap it, and then whichever surplus from the $8,000 yearly limit for top-ups, then you put to special account. Now clear to here? If you have questions, as always, leave in the comment sections. And if you have benefited already, help me smash your like button so that we can reach a bigger audience together. And since you stuck with me to here, I've actually a bonus. I would like to show you what's inside my own CPF account. What you'll see is on 7th December, I mentioned that I'll do tax planning, and I've actually contributed $33,200 across my accounts. But take note, I'm self-employed, which means that allows me tax relief. But if you're the employed space, don't do voluntary contribution. There is no tax relief. Next, I'd like to draw your attention to 20th October Cashew Life supplements. I've actually upgraded my Cashew Life, and if you haven't done so, I'll leave articles that I've written before on Cashew Life which are some of the interests I represent to help arrange and increase the long-term care limits. I think it's a very important insurance concept. If you are of the age of 30 and above, you should start to be aware of. So again, look for the summary sections for an article on it. These deductions again are opportunities to top up to medisave account up to the 8,000 limit for tax purposes. But the more important part is I'd like to draw your attention to what I have inside my OA right now. You see that I have 19,000 plus inside my OA. Why didn't I transfer to special account? That's something to take note. This question keeps arising. Should I transfer my OA to SA? Later I'll leave a full tutorial on it. But what I'm trying to hint to you is that I'm not transferring my OA to SA for extra interest because of two things. The first is I want to keep my SA at that level so that every year I do cash top ups of $8,000, I get tax relief. I want to cut my tax bill. That is more important than getting the 4% interest already. The second is that I have big housing plans in the next few years ahead, and I'm keeping that OA for possible property moves. I have at this moment already sold off my HDB flat. And if you're curious to find out my property thoughts, smash on subscribe, follow me on the journey. I'll be sharing with you an update because previously I discussed about me selling my HDB flat. Even seen that, follow that because I have a new update that's a sequel to that topic. With that, I'll sign off from here and see you in that or this tutorial whereby I've shared whether to transfer OA to SA or not. I think these two tutorials are very valuable to help you in your financial journey. With that, I'll sign off. Thank you for watching till here and I'll see you next one. Take care and goodbye.